Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you the initial checkout of a pretty cool French-style type telephone, and this is Mark's telephone from California. And so he's got a letter here, and the note says, there's a loss of volume in the receiver, phone rings and seems to dial out, but he's having a problem with receive. And this is the initial checkout, but what I'm going to have to do before we actually get into the telephone is, it seems like the line cord modular port has fallen into the telephone. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start taking the telephone apart here and kind of do some initial checks on the telephone. So we'll go ahead and give you a look at this. That screw there didn't feel like it was even grabbing anything. So let's kind of go through this and see what we find. And get a look at the PC board that's in it. That screw might just be turning. Okay, so this kind of gives you a look at the style of PC board that is in it. And the first thing that we want to do, and I see right now that one of the standoffs that holds in the modular port has broken off, and I don't see it in the phone. And I want to make sure we know which way they had this in. And so they have hot glue on it, basically. So it may have been broke at the factory, and then they just finished it off with some hot glue, because this standoff doesn't seem to be doing much good there either. So what we're going to do is we will stabilize all that, but I want to get my line cord into it. And then we'll plug our handset cord. See if we can't ring the phone. Let that go one more time. And there is no, it has seized the analyzer, but I don't have any receive here, and no transmit. We'll see if we can dial a number here. Back to 2. I want to hit flash. Walk through the numbers again. End in a 2. Hit redial. I don't have any receive. So we're going to be checking out and troubleshooting the main PC board to find out why the handset does not have any. I want to make sure that they have a volume control here, high and low, and I want it on high, and we still have no volume, no receive. So we're going to take a short break from the video, and we're going to go ahead and troubleshoot this PC board here. I want to take these two screws up here real quick, because we're going to be troubleshooting it anyway. Give you a look at the bottom side of the board. Plus, we're going to stabilize the modular port here. Definitely want to do that. And that kind of gives you a little look at the back side of the PC board. So we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back now. And so what we've done is troubleshooted the main PC board here, and we found a lot of bad connections. We also found some bad connections in the handset and at the receiver capsule. So we have that all apart because I redid some things up here in the receiver. And what we want to do now is I also located a bad cap and replaced it. So we're going to set that aside. I want to clean my soldering gun. And I want to touch up some solder, and I want to redo these connections here also. So what we're going to do is kind of stabilize the board a little bit. And I want to pick these up and redo these connections one at a time. I don't want to wash the video out, but I'm going to have to take a look at what I'm doing here. I didn't like how these connections were made. Seems like they were almost falling off. we'll get this squared away. Kind of take a closer look at that. Now what I want to do is I want to grab some of the bad solder I see. Clean our gun again here. We find a lot of bad solder, but that's not always the problem. And we did find a bad capacitor in this board. Okay, we took a little break because I wanted to get into the telephone a little further and troubleshoot a little more. And so basically, one of the things that we took care of was, if you notice in the earlier part of the video, the receiver capsule was attached to the cap. And so what that meant was every time you tried to tighten the cap, or when you would turn the cap, the receiver capsule would spin and the wires would just twist up on the inside, and that's not really how it was supposed to be. So what we did was we cleaned the receiver capsule and broke it free from the cap and installed it into the handset like it belongs and secured it. And since this cap's only got a few threads every so often, like there's a row of threads here, here, and here, basically what you want to do is you want to kind of push the cap on and then kind of turn it and then secure it a little bit, but you don't want to go ahead and turn it too much. Now another thing that we noticed is the handset turns here, and we're going to take care of that, but that's not all that important right at this point, so we will take care of that before it's sent back to Mark. It's not supposed to spin like that. So anyway, another thing that we found is a bad trace. And so I wanted to fix up the traces, and I've moved one of the lines back a little further, and I want to get it soldered up here. And I want to fix up some of these traces. And get some solder on them. And then we've got another one over here by the switch. And then we want to hit this one. And now I want to put my line back on there, because we're going to bypass the bad part of the trace that's running down. Now what we can do, I want to take a quick look at that. Now what we can do is plug the telephone in, give you some dial tone. We can do some final checks on it now, but first I'm going to take a short break and put the telephone back together again, and we're going to do some final checks, so we'll be right back. Okay, now we're ready to do some final checks on this telephone, and as I was putting this telephone back together again, I noticed that the hook switch was noisy, and so what we did was we cleaned the hook switch and we also resoldered it. It's very touchy, but in a lot of these telephones they are, just for the simple fact that they have very little clearance to work with, so they end up being very touchy. But this one was noisy and it needed to be resoldered and cleaned, so we did that also. Another thing that we did was we stabilized the handset so it doesn't swivel any longer. So really what it came down to on this telephone was a whole lot of little problems ended up being one big problem, and that was the problem that Mark was having with his telephone. So everything looks good now, and we've got it all squared away. So we're going to do some final checks. I'm going to go ahead and plug the telephone into the analyzer, and I have the ring on the bottom of the telephone. We have a high and low ring and a high and low volume, and so what I'm going to do is it's on high. I'm going to let that go 2 times. Put it on low. Back to high. And then we have our volume on high. Give you some dial tone. We're going to walk through our numbers here. If you watch the analyzer, you can see the numbers go by. I'm going to end in a 2. I'm going to go ahead and hit flash. Redial. It'll end in a 2. I want to hang up, give you some dial tone, but I want to turn the volume of the handset down. Back to high, low, high. Okay, so now what we can do is, I'm going to go ahead and dial a 2 take dial tone away, and I'm going to transmit into the handset. And if you watch this red light here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, every time you see that red light up, that's an indication of 100% modulation on transmit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello, hello. Now what we'll do is we'll ring it one more time. Give you some dial tone. And we're going to go ahead and move the telephone line over to a regular line. And we're going to call a time and temp number. Give you some dial tone.
Good evening. Today is Friday, April 20th. The time is 7:36. Current temperature at 55 degrees. Now the Belleville area weather forecast. Clearing and colder tonight, lows around 40, mostly sunny on Saturday, highs around 60.
Okay, so another number we can call, give you some dial tone, is my number, and it'll be busy. We'll call one other number, but we don't really need anything from there.
Thank you for calling Walmart.
Okay, so we know that the telephone is repaired, and we can get this back to Mark. It's a pretty cool French fancy telephone in the French style, and it just had a lot of little problems that added up to one big problem. So now we've got Mark squared away, and he can enjoy this telephone again and get back to using it. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.